Well, hello, people of the freshman seminar class, and welcome to the Quality Education Show. Today, we will be talking with various students that attend Howard University. Some of these students will be answering these questions virtually. We will ask them questions regarding the role and function of historically Black colleges and universities in providing high quality education, and they will give us some brief responses. Are we ready to get this show started? The first question we will be asking these 10 students is, what is the objective of HBCUs in providing quality education?
Well, Dr. Fleming, to answer this question, we can go back in time and understand the development of HBCUs. Before the Civil War, there was no structured option for Blacks to access a higher education system. In fact, there were certain laws and provisions that prohibited Blacks from getting an education.
So since Black people would be actively denied education at traditionally white institutions, HBCUs were developed to serve the educational needs of Black Americans. In fact, as stated in the article published by the U.S. Department of Education, HBCUs became the principal means for providing post-secondary education to Black Americans, and it still continues to this day.
Wow, okay. That makes more sense when you understand how far back the history of education for Black Americans at HBCUs came. Since this is the objective of the quality education provided by HBCUs, what does it actually look like in present time?
Since most of us know that a part of quality education is preparing students for life and not only teachers appealing to the intellect of students, but their humanity, their physical, and their spiritual, quality education should look like building blocks for their students' future. It should also be a lifelong journey and assistance that develops students like us. It should build not just their skills, but should develop their character as well.
So, this contributes to what quality education actually looks like in an HBCU environment. As stated in the Getting an HBCU Education article, it is stated that an HBCU education also includes a strong sense of community, which develops pride and Black legacy in this country. Those connections are building blocks for professional success and essential for building up communities of color on campus and extending to the diverse world of work. This is what quality education should look like and what the outcomes should be.
But do you all believe that this should be an obligation made by HBCUs?
Well, in my opinion, yes. I believe that HBCUs should make this an obligation. I believe this because of the fact of the past. Since Black Americans were barred from gaining education and currently quality education is not a constitutional right, HBCUs should be the promoter of Black Americans not just gaining any type of education, but one that focuses on the social, emotional, mental, physical, and cognitive development of each student, regardless of race.
Yes, I feel like HBCUs are responsible for their students. They need to serve them with a quality education. Ultimately, the students and their family pay thousands of dollars and really don't get nothing in return. I'm not gonna lie to you, at Howard. Yeah, that's it.
I'd also agree that HBCUs should make quality education an obligation due to the fact that students are willing and excited to pay a lot of money to be educated and to be surrounded with people who look like them. Being educated properly by a Black professor who shows that they're obviously care about teaching could leave students more likely to feel inspired and influenced.
And piggybacking off what my fellow colleague Joy stated, HBCUs were developed to serve the educational needs of Blacks. So to answer your question, yes, I do believe that HBCUs should be obligated in providing its students a versatile quality education. And aside from the fact that students, pay tuition for said quality education, what other institution can we entrust to teach us to embrace and love our Blackness, culture, and teach our history in an inspirational, uplifting, unbiased, and unskewed manner?
I also believe that HBCU should make an effort to make it an obligation because of how hard Black people have had to work to being able to have a successful life. And quality education is not on the forefront of the minds of the schools that have a mainly Black student body, where the student body usually has to work much harder than their white counterparts. In my opinion, it shows that the school does not really care for the students or the benefit of their students. and they are willing to invest in them so that they could do their best.
I completely believe HBCUs should make quality education an obligation to their students. This is because most students go to an HBCU to get away from the diluted teachings of the K through 12 school system and expand their mind about their culture to its fullest extent. To come to an HBCU and not receive a quality education is ultimately an immense loss of money and a missed opportunity to gain the knowledge only attainable at an HBCU.
I feel as if HBCUs should make quality education an obligation. It would be a disservice to our community as a Black college to not make quality education a standard. Lackluster education should be unacceptable in the eyes of HBCUs because more than anyone else, HBCUs know how fundamental education is for the success of our people as a whole.
Since many of you feel like it should be an obligation, how do you see this implementation in other universities? Specifically, how is the curriculum at HBCUs different from other universities, and do they show?
One thing I noticed is that a lot of my courses focus heavily on a Black perspective, whether it's in English or philosophy class. These classes act as a safe space for students like myself to come together and reflect on prevalent issues while still learning about the standard curriculum. I really enjoy the discussions we have as it helps me find myself as a student as well as a Black person within America.
I agree with Tian. These courses are one of the many ways curriculum at HBCUs are different from other universities. In fact, many students that have not had this access to Black education do not know a lot about African American or African history. In fact, I did not know as much about my history as I know now. I only knew things that predominantly white institutions would teach, which would most likely disregard Black culture and history.
On top of teaching us important pieces of history, HBCUs give their students the tools and power to think critically about important issues and go back into their communities to ultimately dismantle them, whether that be through courses like PSYC 033, The Psychology of Race and Racism, or PLLS 184, Problems in American Democracy.
And I agree with everybody else that HBCUs provide us with the knowledge that we need to know about our history and our roots that we wouldn't necessarily get in regular private or public K through 12 schooling. Yes, there are classes you can take at other universities. You can even major in African American studies, but HBCUs make these classes mandatory. And in agreement with Deandra, these mandatory classes provide us tools that we can not only use in our education, but we can apply it to the outside world. HBCUs prepare us for what's to come during and after college while also giving us guidance in a career sense.
As stated in one of our Mbongi lectures, we have to put forward a new thesis that embraces the humanity of all cultures and let all those cultures make their way into the educational curriculum as respected. I believe that quality education can give us that.
I love everyone's opinions and answers. I am able to see some of the differences between HBCUs and other universities. I am also able to see many of the students, the strengths in quality education at an HBCU. However, I would still like you all to explain to me some of the benefits you have either seen or experienced in the HBCUs providing quality education.
Well, we see that in our Book for Freshmen seminar that is titled Quality Education as a Constitutional Right, that providing quality education is not just about teaching students material for an exam or making sure that they know their ABCs, but rather it's mainly about providing them that supportive environment to grow, to gain that knowledge, to gain that wisdom and more. And I believe that HBCUs are one of the best environments to gain this.
The benefit of going to an HBCU as a Black student can also be seen in the sense of mental health and wellness. Growing up Black can result in very traumatizing experiences, and when in an environment with those who don't go through those same experiences, Black students may feel as if their feelings are being trivialized or ignored. When they're surrounded by others with these same thoughts and feelings and experiences, they may be more at ease knowing that they are not alone in what they're dealing with.
Add on to what Calissa said. In attending an HBCU, you will feel more at home, as your feelings and thoughts will be considered more, as there are people around you who not only look like you, but can understand what you're going through as they go through similar circumstances. This can build a better connection than people you would have met at a PWI, saving you the mental stress from having to code switch to seem respectful in a white environment.
With this being said, HBCUs excel at producing change agents. This is from all the support students receive. Without the supports in place, students will not be able to unlock their full potential.
I am so impressed with each and every one of you students. The magnitude of what has been said here is great. I love that you all are able to examine the roles of HBCUs and to examine ways they affect everyone in them. Quality education is and should always be the center of Black education, especially in HBCUs. This should be in place even if it is a constitutional right or not. Well, that concludes our show. Goodbye to the whole Quality Education and Freshman Seminar family. We will see you next time.